everyone, and welcome to AudioCodes UC Talks from me, Jay Wyatt, and my colleagues Shane Howie and Scott Middlebrooks.
Hey guys.
Hi guys. Anyway, so in today's video blog, we're going to talk about the prerequisites for voice enabling Microsoft Teams. I'm going to start this one off by saying that you need to decide if you intend on using a calling plan or utilize your own telephony provider. If you do, then you'll need to have a session border controller, either physical or virtual, either on premises or in the cloud, such as Microsoft Azure. Some people don't see that as a prerequisite, but I think actually it probably is if you've not used anything yet. But there are many more prerequisites that you'll need to consider. So let's just talk about a couple of them. So Shane, first one over to you. Is there anything that an organization needs to do to their Active Directory? Let's just say they've got an AD on-premise.
So obviously you've got to look at most companies will have already moved to the cloud. So we're already going to have Azure AD Sync or ADFS already installed. But if you're going to the cloud and Teams is your first service, then obviously you've got to look at putting in Azure AD Sync or ADFS.
And that's essential, is it?
Sorry? Well, if you've got an on-premise Active Directory. So okay. Because remember in the Active Directory, in Azure, in Teams, there's two types of accounts. There's the Azure AD accounts, and then there's the synced, or the Azure AD, I think they call them cloud identities now. And then there's the on-premise identities, which go through the Azure AD Sync or ADFS. But that's a very small part of the prerequisites.
Yeah. Over to you. Do they need to have Microsoft Exchange in Microsoft 365?
Having Exchange Online or Exchange Office 365 is not an absolute requirement. I would argue that it's better. It's a better experience. It's far easier, but it is not an absolute requirement. You can use Exchange on premises and gain most of the functionality through Teams. There are some prereqs, and you guys keep me honest. I think you have to have Exchange. Is it 2013, like SP?
There is. I thought it was 2016. There is some prereqs, and I should know this because I just wrote a design document about a week ago with exactly that in there. But I think it was one of those things.
We'll put it on the slide at the end of the presentation.
Yeah.
Okay. To make it easier for our viewers, then, what are the benefits from having Exchange in Microsoft 365 over having it on premises? Because you've already pointed out, Scott, that some things don't work, and we won't go into those granular things. But what are the benefits of having it hosted in Microsoft 365?
I think just ease of management, less complexity, less to have to kind of less points of potential failure. If you're on premises, as Shane was kind of mentioning, you've already got enough hooks for your other infrastructure requirements. You're also now making a dependency on your Exchange hybrid organization, maintaining your Exchange, and that you've got other things that are now dependent. A lot of your Teams infrastructure is dependent on your on-premises infrastructure. Where if it's all in Office 365, it's all maintained by Office 365.
Okay, so one of the big obviously with Skype Business Online, I was always under the impression that like voicemail was recorded or saved in a user's Exchange profile. Is that now different for Microsoft Teams?
Yes.
Yeah. So
they've migrated to Azure voicemail now. So the voicemail goes across into Azure voicemail. So it is different.
So they took the Exchange Unified Messaging role, so that's no longer part of Exchange, right? So you have the cloud voicemail, and Exchange just serves as a repository for those voicemails. It's just an attachment to a voicemail.
Okay.
But the big thing here is, because we're talking about infrastructure prerequisites, in my thoughts, is network, and this is the biggest one, not just QoS, but Wi-Fi. Looking at the bandwidth for the firewalls, doing a proper network assessment prior. And I think, Pete, this is given in a lot. You walk into a deployment, and when they are complaining about things like voice quality or it's not as good as XYZ, and when you start looking at it, you start looking that you've got people, torrenting, and at the same time, people trying to do voice calls. And
yeah, it's a great point, Shane. I mean, one of the things that you probably said even in the Skype for Business days, the real-time communications, audio, video, is the canary in the coal mine for your network. If you're not experiencing any network issues today, but you're only using it for non-real-time communications, once you start throwing real-time communications at it, you will find out how good or how much room for improvement there is in your network.
Yeah. Definitely. You go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I was just going to say, Scott, Shane, I think that's a really, really valid point to bring up. And it wasn't actually one of the questions I was going to ask today, but I'm glad you did pick it up. What about so SharePoint? I know SharePoint is fundamental. I mean, Teams. In the way that it sort of displays information, the back end of the repository, I know, is SharePoint. Is that an essential have? Do you to have that with Microsoft 365?
I would say yes. There's the thing is that when you look at Teams, it's really, and I think for everything, Teams is just Teams itself, the Teams client. We've got the Teams client, and we've obviously got the Teams backend, but they're built off modern groups. They're built off SharePoint. They're built off Exchange. They're built off Azure AD. So everything is built off that. And the minute you start taking and using things back on premise, like Exchange, you're taking away the functionality. So if you really want to get that user engagement, and also that the effectiveness of all the benefits of running Teams, you do need to be all cloud.
Okay.
And it also gets down to Teams has been built for the cloud.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a lot of these older systems that we're talking about, they're not built for the cloud. And a great example is back here at Australia with all the schooling and the work from home. The teachers were using OneNote. Now, OneNote is not built for the cloud, because when you think about OneNote, it's for syncing, right?
Yeah.
And this is a great example. So all the kids were logging in, getting into OneNote, and OneNote was just not syncing. It was there was big, long delays and so forth. They transitioned overnight to Teams and there's some academic thing where the kids can go in and put all their assignments in and the work. And it worked straight away, first time, and they didn't have those issues that they were seeing with OneNote. And the reason is
it's stored online straight away.
Yeah, and OneNote is built for, it's a OneNote. The client is old, whereas Teams today is that microservices. The services do one thing and they do it perfect, and there's hundreds of different little services. I think,
Okay, I'm going to have to try and wrap this up, but there's one more question I want to ask Scott in terms of, I was speaking to a customer the other day, and they're asking about service certificates. In what scenario would they need to sort of consider having service certificates?
Yeah, so that's an interesting point. It's as we move to the cloud, and as we, a lot of customers are saying, I want to be cloud forward, cloud first, nothing on premises. Oh, except for that direct routing thing. I want to be able to I want to integrate with my existing phone system. I want to integrate with an existing carrier. Okay, well, that's all fine and good. But as you mentioned, Jay, we do need a certificate, a TLS certificate on the direct routing appliance to encrypt the communication between your on-premises, your SBC direct routing appliance, and Microsoft Cloud.
Okay, no, that's awesome. And thanks for clearing that up. So, guys, as you can see, there are quite a few things that you need to consider before fully adopting Microsoft Teams. Some I'm certain you already have in place, especially if you're already a Microsoft 365 customer. Needless to say, those that don't will need to do quite a few prerequisites first. So, guys, do you have any other advice to give our viewers before we wrap this one up?
So the one thing that I would say, and I've said it before in other conversations, plan twice, cut once, plan. That's what all this prerequisite kind of conversation is about, is make sure you've planned for all of this before you start actually going into your deployment or migration.
Brilliant. Thank you, Scott. Shane, anything from you?
So the only thing that comes to mind at the moment is, because it's late over here and I'm thinking about bed, but is one of the jobs I'm doing at the moment is our AudioCodes Live, and me being technical and not a salesperson, I'm probably going to say this all wrong, but we're doing a lot of workshops and helping out with helping our customers move to Teams. So the question, if you're unsure, that you can contact us, come and talk to us. We can give you some advice.
UCTalks@audiocodes.com.
UCTalks.
And I probably just stole what you were going to say again.
I think you have. So everybody, thank you for watching. Do look out for our next video, where we'll look at some of the what is our next video? Oh my god, it's a really good question, guys. Do you know what our next video is? It's successful rollouts, product management, key considerations. God, I completely forgot then. But thank you ever so much for watching, and speak soon. Bye bye.
See ya.